Hi, I'm Dr. Darrell Story. In this video, I'll summarize three articles. Hi, I'm Dr. Darrell Story. In this video, I'll summarize three blog entries from my blog, LucidNeurology.com, that I wrote last year in 2016 on topics that have to do with nutrition. The first one that I'll mention is a blog entry from May of 2016 called Mediterranean Diet Improves Brain Appearance. And it was a summary of an article that was published in the journal Neurology called Mediterranean Diet and Brain Structure in a Multi-Ethnic Elderly Cohort. In this study, they looked at about 600 subjects who were about the age of 80 and assessed how much they adhered to a Mediterranean diet. And what they found was that if they took those people who were strict adherents to a Mediterranean diet and looked at their brain on an MRI scan, their brains looked better. They had thicker cortex and a healthier looking brain that actually looked about 5 years younger than individuals who didn't have such adherence to that type of diet. And what they found was, in particular, it was the higher consumption of fish and the lower consumption of other types of meat. So it seems to point towards some real health benefits from fish. And that's also illustrated in another blog entry from March of 2016, which is one of my favorite titles. I called it Seafood, Mercury, and Dementia. Oh my! The blog was a summary of an article that was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, or JAMA, called Association of Seafood Consumption, Brain Mercury Level, and ApoE4 Status with Brain Neuropathology in Older Adults. And in this study, they looked at, again, elderly subjects, and studied their tendency to consume fish. And those that were regular fish consumers had to have a fish meal at least once a week. And the question that's always been out there about fish consumption is there any harm based on the mercury content of fish that may build up in the brain? And this was a longitudinal study, and they followed these patients until they died. Many were then studied pathologically. Their brains were looked at under the microscope to look at what their brains looked like. And indeed, the regular fish consumers did have higher amounts of deposits of mercury, but they had less Alzheimer's disease pathology. In other words, they had less of the toxic proteins called amyloid and tau that build up in the brains of people who are at high risk of Alzheimer's disease or who have Alzheimer's disease. So the mercury buildup was associated with actually less of the toxic Alzheimer's disease type pathology. So it seems like mercury might just be an innocent bystander. It may not be necessarily harmful, at least based on what this study shows us. Again, it seems like we're making a good case for fish consumption as a way to maintain brain health. And finally, a topic that's dear to me in a blog that I titled Some Health Benefits for Coffee. This was featured in Lucid Neurology in February 2016. And this was a summary of an article that was published in the journal Circulation. And the journal article was called Association of Coffee Consumption with Total and Cause-Specific Mortality in 3 Large Prospective Cohorts. So what this study tried to do was to look at survey information about the subjects in the study and how much coffee that they consumed. And it was actually found that coffee consumers, so people that have between 1 and 5 cups of coffee per day, had reduced rates of death from cardiovascular disease, neurological disease, diabetes, and even suicide. And further, they wanted to get some more information out of this study, and it's known that often people who drink a lot of coffee may also drink a lot of alcohol or smoke. So if they excluded the high alcohol consumers or smokers, the effect of coffee was even more significant. And in fact, people who drank or reported to drink 3 to 5 cups of coffee per day had about a 15% decreased risk of mortality over people who don't drink coffee. And curiously, it doesn't seem to be the caffeine. This could be either decaf or regular coffee. Although to me, it's not really clear why you would drink decaffeinated coffee. That's just my personal preference and not a medical recommendation. But in any event, it looks like diet, especially a Mediterranean type diet, especially higher consumption of fish, and enjoying a cup of coffee, or by this study here, 3 to 5 cups of coffee, seems to be associated with good health. Thanks for watching this video, and for more of this type of information, check out LucidNeurology.com.